There we go. What's up, everybody? We're gonna load up here. All platforms. There we go. Perfect. Um, let's make this super simple. Today we're gonna be covering what to do when things don't go according to plan. I think that this is a great topic because it's a thing that holds a lot of people back. Um, and this can apply to any area of your life. This can apply to anything that you're trying to do. And when you have the expectation of things going one way and it just goes completely sideways, maybe you were just banking on this thing, this power move that you were doing to like follow through, to come through, to be that like vital moment in your life, and then everything basically flops, goes to shit. You were expecting positive things to happen, and not positive things happened. It's probably the shittiest feeling. I know that we've all felt that at some point at every stage in our life. If you have never felt that and you've been the unicorn where everything went your way, congrats. It's going to be a shitty feeling when life hits you and catches up to you. But here's the thing. What's up, Priscilla? Excited to chat tomorrow. Um, when when we are going after what we want in life, doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's building a better relationship with your family. It doesn't matter if it's getting that promotion. It doesn't matter if it's going all in on you and starting your own business. It doesn't matter if it's like, working on your marriage. Whatever it is, we all have this vision of how we want things to turn out. We all have this vision of the most ideal situation that could happen and how happy it's going to feel for us to have gone through all the bullshit to see this vision come into reality. What happens with life, God, the universe, that we just for some reason always take out of the equation is we think and we assume that we're so smart that we can immediately predict the end state, the end result, and how easily and rapidly we're going to be able to get it. The beautiful thing about life, the beautiful thing about God, the beautiful thing about the universe, whatever it is that you pray to, the beautiful thing about that is it never gives you what you think you're supposed to get. And a lot of people feel resentment towards this. I have a totally different take on it, as shitty as it feels sometimes. When I want things to go my way, when I'm like, damn, I'm gonna work my ass off. Let's say for my first couple businesses I tried to start, right? I've had way more failed businesses than most people have even tried to start. And every single time, I thought each business was just going to take things to the next level. I thought that I was going to go to the fucking moon with a lot of these things. And what happened was during those times, every one of those businesses failed. I'd have invested tens of thousands of dollars into 'em, not to make any type of money back. And there was this big part of me that was like, why does this keep happening? I feel like all of these other people are winning easily, like starting even after me. And they're able to like find the needle in the haystack. They're able to find the unicorn product that they could scale to the moon. How is it that they've been trying for far less longer than me and I'm still not able to produce results? During those times, it was very hard for me to continue staying on the path. It was very hard for me to stay committed to the path to building in the e-commerce space. And it wasn't until I realized that I was lacking in something. It wasn't until I was starting to be brutally honest, which was one of my other trainings, being brutally honest with yourself, that I wasn't putting in all of the effort, all of the work that I could have. And I was passing blame versus taking ownership. I was passing blame versus doing the things to figure out why things weren't going my way. And I think the interesting part about God, the universe, these higher powers, is we have to learn a lesson and we have to download the lesson. We have to learn a lesson and like really truly understand and comprehend why. Because sometimes when shit happens to us, right? When we understand like our traumas happen for us, when we're feeling it, it doesn't feel that way. Like like you get cheated on in your relationship. You don't think that's happening for you. That's like, why is this happening to me? You don't see that as a gift. And then one day, maybe you turn that experience into you mentoring somebody who needed your help, that needed to move through that, and through your wisdom, through your experience, you're able to heal them. And then it becomes your purpose. So a lot of the times when things aren't going our way, there's actually something bigger at play here. There's actually something that that's happening beneath the surface that we don't even understand. We can't possibly understand because our human minds are too small to understand the bigger picture here. It's too small to understand purpose. Like every day we're looking to find our purpose. Every day we're trying to get closer to our purpose. And every time we get closer, it feels like our purpose gets further and further away. But the truth is, every time we elevate to the level where we feel closer to our purpose expands. And that's why it feels like this never ending battle of like chasing and chasing and chasing, but never getting, never attaining. But if we actually took a second not to look to the future, but to look to the past, we have actually gotten so much further than we thought we would ever get to. Am I wrong? Did anybody think that based on where you're at right now in life that you would ever get here? Were any of you so confident that you were like, this date, this time, 2:13 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or whatever your time zone is, I'm going to be here in my life? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 5, 10 years ago, I thought I was going to be dead. I was like, I'm going to die for sure. There's no way. I'm just going to be dead. That was my mentality. The reason why it's so hard for us sometimes is because we keep looking to the future based on what we know and realize is our potential. We have the potential to keep being more, to having more. We have the potential to have everything more that we want because we're just not good enough with what we have already today because we know our potential. But sometimes that gets away from us and we don't even look at our journey and become grateful that we've gotten this far. I don't know about you guys, but like 13 years old, 10 years old, I was already thinking about death. Jesus. So to live a whole decade later and then some, that's a huge win. But we're so caught up in the now about what we want now based on the future that we want, we forget like how much we've already conquered in life. And it's very important to remember all of those things because when shit doesn't go your way again for the next time, you have to understand that just like all of the trials we've been through before, right? If you think back on your younger years, there were times in your life where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I have no fucking clue how I'm going to get through this in my life. You're going through like a breakup and you're like, oh my God, that was the love of my life. How am I going to ever get through this? You know, and then you got through it, right? There was a time you probably got into a car accident and you're like, fuck, I just got my license and like my whole future is shit, you know, but nothing really bad happened. You got a ticket, paid a little bit more in your insurance, and boom, you learned your lesson, never got into an accident again. You know, maybe you were caught stealing, doing stupid shit like I was when I was younger. You stole some shit, you got cuffed, and you're like, oh damn, there's my life. My life is never going to be good because now I'm this shit bag. And then you do a lot better. You do better in the world because of that experience. Everything bad that's ever happened to us, if you thought about it or you think back on it, we thought we would never get through those times. So if the past is a exact representation of a pattern that we will continue to follow into the future, and we also know that this pattern of the past has always served us. This pattern of the past has always led us to being here, much further along in our lives than we ever thought was possible back then isn't it also true that if the past shows us that, if we were to throw that into the future, wouldn't we be able to get past right now when things aren't going our way? Wouldn't we be able to move through this where today, right now, where we're just like, damn, shit's not going my way. Like, I'm trying the business, I'm trying this thing, I'm trying to make this power move, I'm trying to find the love of my life, whatever path you're on right now, isn't right now in this moment where shit's not going our way. Isn't this one of those memories we're going to look back on and be like, oh, I remember that? So dumb because we crushed that. Isn't now when shit's not going our way just going to be another time of the past, just like we're remembering it now? Isn't it? Isn't it crazy to start thinking that way? Isn't it crazy to start envisioning the future of like, no, I probably got it because just like all things, somehow I found my way here. And just like I found my way here, I'm going to find my way there. I don't know how. I don't know when. I don't know what I'm going to do. All I'm going to do is the same thing I've always done, which is the best that I can do on a daily basis. Now, when we think about shit not going our way, is it that bad? Is it really as bad as we make it out to be in our mind? I think this is where we start transitioning from expecting very specific things and results and timelines that we create in our mind to just learning to have faith. I think it's these times in our lives where at some point you just need to trust that everything will work itself out. And I'm not talking about like hoping and just sitting there and like praying to God and doing nothing about your situation. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just having faith that, like, if you've gotten through all the bullshit in your life to get to this level in your life, no matter what level you're at, you've already won. Isn't it also true that if you continue to have faith, that you will also get to the next level? That you just got to put your head down, get to work, knowing that this path has led you to this moment and that this moment will also lead you to the next moment where you're going to reflect back and be grateful for the now where you had to suffer to learn the traumas, the experiences, the hardship to gain the wisdom that you need to become the next level version of yourself. You see what I'm saying? So I think that when things are not going according to plan, when things aren't going the way that we want, in those moments it's very important for us to stop, to slow down, and to really just reflect on, well, okay, let's say I took this seriously. Let's say that I do believe that things will work itself out. Let's say that I do have faith. Let's say that I do surrender to whatever it is that's guiding me to the next level, whatever it is. What is the lesson I have not yet learned that God, life, the universe is trying to teach me right now about myself? And then we understand that the way that we experience life is literally how we perceive life, how we understand life, how we download life. And I start downloading life and I'm like, okay, so none of this shit's working. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Why is it that it's not working? Why is it that I feel this way? Right? We start asking ourselves the question, why? And I told you guys in another training, it's one of the most important questions you can ever ask yourself. Why? So we start going through the why process, right? Why is this happening? Why? And at some point, after we go through all of the surface level bullshit of blaming everybody outside of ourselves, then we start owning that we probably are not doing the things to the best of our ability. And not because we were choosing consciously not to, but unconsciously we were holding ourselves back because of a belief system, a story we were telling ourselves. And this process allowed us to identify the story that was no longer serving us so we can start reframing the story and living the life based on our true power, not of this fear-based shit, not of the doubt, not of the fear, not of the concerns of what ifs, not none of that shit, but from a place of power. And this shit had to happen to us, for us, so we could identify that we were not being 100% in alignment of who we thought we were being. And that was the lesson we have not yet learned. That was the thing that's holding us back. Accountability of self at this level, at this stage. And now, once we take accountability at this level, at this stage, then it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing everything to the best of my ability now. I was doing everything to the best of my ability before, but my potential has grown. So that means I have more gas in the tank than I was giving myself credit for. And if I have more gas in the tank right now, then that means I can push even harder than I have been. Oh, that's why I haven't reached the next level because the only amount of effort I've been putting in is the effort that got me here. But I haven't been putting forth the effort that not only got me here, but will get me to the next level. You guys tracking with me? See a lot of love in the comments. So I think we're tracking here. I think we're onto something, guys. I think we're onto something when it comes to going through these processes of self-mastery and learning to talk about them in a way that makes sense for the people that go through this process on a daily basis that sometimes just needs direction, orientation of where to look, how to think. And when we start thinking together as a mastermind, as a community, just like we are here, people from all over the world, then we start looking at things in life, the universe, all of these things different. Now we have to ask ourselves if things aren't going our way, but they are actually going our way because everything that's happening to us is happening for a purpose. So we can learn a lesson we have not yet learned to extract the wisdom that we can now apply that would get us to the next level. That is the sage version of us, which again was another training. And I told you guys, we will 100% have overlap in all of these trainings because everything that we do affects everything that we do. Everything that we think affects everything that we decide to act on. So now, when we think about all of these things, is it really not going our way? Or is life not going the way that we want it to because we feel entitled to have it easy when the easy path has never made us strong? If we could, at a snap of fingers, be buff, massively buff, we're just like, I don't even want to go to the gym. I don't want to eat right. I don't want to have discipline. And we just got like just our perfect physiques. Would we keep them for long? Or would we drop the weight, get to our perfect physique, and then just start eating In-N-Out burgers again? Double Western bacon cheeseburgers, pizzas, all of the things. And then we just get the body back that we once had because we were just given and handed easily the end state. Why do you guys think that when people win the lottery, they actually end up worse, more broke, and on the street than when they won the lottery? So they won the lottery, made millions of dollars, some people billions of dollars, and then like a year later, they're in a worse position than before they won the lottery. How is that fucking possible? How do you make that much money from just guessing numbers and then you're in a worse position? Well, it's because the person didn't learn the lessons, they didn't extract the wisdom to create the person who can keep the wealth, maximize on the wealth. They just brought all of the bad habits they haven't moved through, worked through, ironed out. And even though they were given the end state that they wanted, they lost it all because they weren't the person who could keep it all. They weren't even the person who can make it on their own. So, of course, they're not going to be able to keep it. So just like if we were just given our perfect bodies, we wouldn't be able to keep it if we didn't earn the bodies. If we were given all the money through a lottery ticket, we'd probably lose all the money because we don't have the same exact principles that that person who earned it has. They had to earn over time. So now when we think about life, the universe, God not giving things to us the way that we want, in the ways that we want him, isn't that happening for us? So is it not that these things are happening, they're actually happening in the best way possible, but we just have to go through a little bit of turbulence. We just have to go through a little bit of hardship. And your definition of a little bit of hardship is going to be different, right? Your a little bit might be just like liking peanuts to me. Peanuts for me might be massive for you, and vice versa. It depends. So it's now how we're defining all of these things, how we're choosing to look at it from our lens, our perspective, our story. And that is what changes our experience. So again, is it that things are not going according to plan, or was this always the plan? We just thought it would be easier. I don't know. What I'm finding over time is you can just you can just have a vision of like the ideal outcome. But what I've also learned is over time, if you just choose that the hardship, it's like a hammer to an anvil. It's forging us. It hurts us. We have to get put through flame and fire. We have to literally burn. And after we're burning and we feel like, damn, that was a lot. That was a fucking lot. Jesus Christ, I've been burning and burning and burning. I'm fucking melting. And then as soon as we think we're going to finally catch a break, we get pulled out of the flames and we're like, Jesus, we're finally done. The hammer to the anvil. And we just keep getting strike, strike, strike. And then we're just like, Jesus, I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can take this beating. And we're taking the beating. We were just getting forged through the fire. Again, put back in the flame after we just took a beating, get back out. We got hammered and hammered and hammered. Then we get put back in the flame. And then what happens? At some point, we just completely zone out and then we're washed in this cold water. And now we're freezing. We're shaking. We're just like, what the fuck am I doing right now? What's happening right now? And we're shaking and we're freezing and we're just like, "Oh my, am I gonna crack? Is this it? Is this my breaking point?" And then there's like a silence. And like we're waiting because we're freezing and we're just like, "Oh Jesus, like what's gonna happen next?" And at that point, because we've endured all of the adversity we had to experience, we're stronger now. We're sharper now. We're more lethal now. And we didn't understand how this happened because all we did was endure the pain of being forged. And what happens for us is it's just happens so quickly that we forget to appreciate who we had to become in that process of taking that beating and learn to value the beating that we just took from life and who we became in that process because it happened so fast. And I think for a lot of us, just like I was talking about the past, it happens so rapidly throughout our life that when we go through things, when we go through hardships, when we go through adversity, when we go through traumas, when we go through loss, sometimes it's so fast how far we go into into the flame when we get beat on the anvil, when we get put into that cold water. It just happens so fast in a cycle that like we just arrived here. But if we learn to appreciate each one of those moments, all of the resilience we forged over time, how we as people, as humans, have been forged over time, we're like all fucking powerful. And then we realize, like, oh shit, nothing can actually stop me. And like all of this shit is just me going through the flame again. I'm just getting hammered by the fucking end. But the thing is, it's different each time because you being forged into the version of you that got yourself to the level, it's not strong enough to cut through the next thing, to break through the next wall. So what happens is you have to get reforged. Sometimes you have to go back into the flame, and sometimes you have to be in the flame longer. Sometimes you have to be in the flame for longer and then be on the anvil for longer and get beat on much longer because what's being crafted and created is a new version. It's a new version of you, a stronger version of you. And that cold plunge might be the same thing. You might have to stay there a little bit longer. And what happens is throughout time, you just become more resilient to it that when you're in the heat of things, when you're in the fire, you just learn how to be calm and control the chaos in the mind. And it's not that like you're not going to be in the fire anymore. You just learn to embrace what's happening and you forge your mentality. You don't freak out, you don't flip out. And then as soon as the fire slowly cools off, you're just like, okay, I get to breathe for a second. And as soon as you breathe, you know that first fucking hit, the hammer's coming. Fucking hit after hit. And then you're just getting hit. And now you're just not responding to the hits, the beating of life. You're not responding anymore. You're just taking it because you know that every hit that happens, you're being forged. And so every time life, God, the universe strikes you down again, you know that it's empowering you. You just don't know it yet. And you don't know to what extent yet. And you know you're going to take this fucking beating of life for as long as possible because on the other side of it, you got one more fucking thing. You got to go through a fucking winter. You got to go into the cold. And then on the other side of that is you. And if you can understand the seasons that you have to go through in your evolution, everything's going according to plan. We just don't understand the plan that's been given to us. We just don't understand why. And the whole point of being and having faith is not needing to know why. Because that's too much for us to understand until we go through it and understand. So I think that when things aren't going according to plan and we shift our perspective that everything's going to according to plan, just not our plan, I think that's how we can become grateful for everything that's happening. And when we are able to do that in the moments that we're living in, we're able to appreciate the experience that we're experiencing right now and we shift the perspective. And all we can control is how we experience it, not that we are or are not going to. It's going to happen. When? God knows. How long? God knows. The question is, are we ready to accept that we will have to embrace all of that pain to become the strongest versions of ourselves? And if we're willing to, just imagine how far you can go. If you're willing to embrace that you are going to have to go through the flame, go through the forge, go through the cold, over and over and over and over and over again in your life, is there nothing that you can't do? Every vision that you have of what's possible for the future, is there anything that you can imagine that can hold you back? If it's also true that you can get through these seasons, you can get through the flame, you can get through the forge, you can get through the cold. That's what happens when you get hardened. That's what happens when you extract wisdom from these lessons of life. That's what happens when you stop playing victim, that it's all happening to you and you're just like, "Oh, it's fucking forging me. This is all a gift." And some lessons, it's harder to do that than others, 100%. Sometimes we're gonna get lost for a couple weeks, a couple months, a couple years. Sometimes we might get resentful that shit's happening the way that it's happening. But overall, at some point, if we just hold on, I think that everything becomes clear. I think that in those moments is when we really find ourselves. And so to embrace that this is going to happen the way it's happening, to accept that we have no control over how hot that fucking flame is, how hard the beating is on the anvil, how cold it feels after being in the heat and getting beaten down, and how long we have to just hold our fucking breath until the best of us is born. I think that's the test. I think at every level, that's this test we all have to pass. If we really want to get to the next level, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Got a lot of good shit happening in the comments, hitting the core on this. Good. Watching it live. That was deep, having to repeat it. Yeah, guys, sometimes we're just flowing here. This is great. Reforged, 100%. Awesome, guys. So as always, man, we're just gonna keep pushing. All right. One of the beautiful things about the digital world is it connects all of us all over the world, wherever you're from. There's a lot of connection. There's a lot of people going through the same flame, going through the same beating, going through that cold. And if you guys remember to just connect, to reach out, it doesn't have to feel lonely. This is where camaraderie is built. When you know that other people from all over the world, right? Man, this was needed. Marcos, hell yeah, bro. You know, when you know other people are going through the flame, it just helps you like stick it out for a little bit longer because you're like, okay, I guess we're all going through this shit. It is what it is. This is the same thing in the Marine Corps. Well, when you're suffering, you look to your left and you look to your right. Everybody's suffering. It makes the suffering a little bit less. When you start getting beat on and beat on and beat on, and you have people that are willing to talk about it, and you're like, oh shit, everybody else is on the anvil. Oh shit. All right, boys, let's fucking run it. Hit after hit after hit. And at some point, you just start laughing at the hits, and you're just like, oh shit. Oh shit. It's just, it is what it is. Doesn't that suck? Yeah, it does suck. And you start talking to people as if they get you, they understand what you're going through. And you guys are like, all right, well, fucking you, we all know what happens after the beating. We're about to get fucking dunked, get in the cold, freezing, shivering, shaking, looking to your left, looking to your right. Everybody's suffering together. And it's like, we know what happens after this. We know who the fuck we're becoming right now. And when you're part of that unit, there's nothing that can break you at that point. But you got to understand again, everything's happening according to the plan. Trust the process, trust the plan. Put your head down, get to work, do what you got to do, connect. All right. If you guys need help with this, never hesitate to reach out. I'll see you guys in the next training. Much love. Peace.